Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Ready. I am your host, bohlale-paile, and today we'll be taking you through a very important, commonly asked interview question, which is, why should we hire you? Now, a lot of people, when they ask this question, they automatically feel that they need to be able to answer it in a way of comparison between themselves and other candidates. But let's be honest, right? You don't even know the other candidates that have come for the interview. You don't know what they bring. You don't know what their background is. So the comparison is never against other candidates, but against yourself, right? So as you're answering and articulating this particular question in terms of why the organization should hire you, the focus should always be on you and the value that you bring. So make sure that you're staying with me during this video, because I'm going to give you some really key pointers that are going to help you structure the way you answer this question and ensure that you are always focusing on you and the value that you bring to the organization. So before we head into the structure, one thing that I always love to tell people that I mentor, people that I really coach through how they navigate through corporate is, the corporate race is really an individual race, right? A lot of times we are looking over our shoulders to check where someone else is, how are they getting there, why are they promoted over me? And yet it's really about you competing against yourself, right? Each of us are running our own race. We in corporate for various reasons, for various tasks, for various professions. And so make sure that as you navigate your way through corporate, you're thinking about, where am I? Where do I want to be? How do I get there, right? So make sure that the focus all the time and the confidence is always in yourself and always in where your career is going. And make sure that you're never competing against other people, because they're running a different race and it's not the same as yours. Now let's jump straight into the structure of how you'd answer this particular question. Now, the first point that I think is important for you is to always thank the panel or thank the recruiter for the opportunity to really describe and give them a sense of why you'd be the best candidate for the role, right? So as you start answering this, why should we hire you, bohlale? Well, thank you for the opportunity to be able to tell you why I think I'm the best candidate for this role, right? So you start off like that. Then as you go into the next point, it's important for you to be able to articulate why you're excited about this particular role, right? So you thank them. Now you're telling them, I'm so excited about this particular role because, right? And in that, be able to articulate what it is about the role that really drew you, that drew your attention, right? And then the next point thereafter, you go into, what are the key skills that I have that match the role that you're excited about? Why is it important to articulate this? A lot of people will go into particular interviews and a lot of them are excited about the role. But sometimes, when people ask you, why should we hire you? People haven't given it a lot of thought, right? And if they are answering the question by saying, well, because I need a job, because I saw the ad and I just want to change from my current job, those are the kinds of answers you start getting. But once you're able to articulate some of the skill sets that you have that match the job, it shows that you've prepared for the interview. It shows that you've thought about why you're the right candidate for this particular role. And so it becomes a well-articulated answer when you start approaching it from that perspective. So once you've told them why you're excited about the role, then you go straight into, these are the three key skill sets that I bring to this organization, or that I bring to my profession or this particular role, that I think really align very well with this particular role. Now, another tip, where do you get the skill sets, right? It has to be skill sets that are authentic to you as a person, but you need to have gone through the job spec to understand what are the key skill sets they are looking for in this particular role. Once you know in the job spec what the key skills are, you then go back to your skill set and understand, which ones am I going to highlight that you think really align well to the particular role? And those are the ones that you use. In any interview question that you answer, make sure that you are aligning yourself, your skill set, what you bring to the table, to what the organization requires. That's how you get the most out of the questions that you answer from an interview perspective. So now you've given us the top 3 or 4 skills that you have, right, that you believe align very well to the particular role. Now, take us through at least one example of how you've used that skill set, right? The reason you always take us through examples is because we want to know that it's not a skill set that you've just thumbsucked, right? Because for it's on our job spec, Therefore, you're saying, oh yeah, I've got leadership ability, I communicate well, and, I'm a great team player. Tell us how, right? If you're saying you're a great leader, give us an example. How have you demonstrated leadership, right? And so it requires for you to have thought about an example that's really going to be able to show us and demonstrate to us how you've used that particular skill and why you say you've got that skill, right? So after giving us your skill set, you then go into a particular example that really highlights some of the core skills that you say that you have. You don't have to take us through 4 different examples. Give us 1 examples of how you've used them, right? Because in some examples, you're demonstrating leadership, you're demonstrating communication, you're demonstrating more than 1 skill in a particular example. So think about an example that you can show to demonstrate to us why you say you've got those skills. And then the next point after that is to be able to then articulate some of the achievements that you have that correlate with those skills, right? Why achievements? Well, achievements are important because it really helps us see that you are committed to growing, that you're committed to growing your particular skill sets as well. And it really shows us that you are someone that is living out the skills that you say that you have, right? So any small achievement that you can maybe articulate, whether it be from work, whether it be from university, campus, give us a little bit of a sense of how you've really elevated in that particular skill set that you say that you have, because that's what's going to really show us that you are committed to growing in that particular field as well. The next thing that's important to highlight is, how does this all benefit the organization, right? It's all good and well for you to be able to tell me why you love the role, what are the key skill sets you have, take me through an example, tell me how you've achieved it, but what benefit is it to the organization? Now, this is where you bring in all of your lived experience and your skill set, and you go back to speaking about the role you've applied to or the organization that you are interviewing with, right? Be able to articulate to them why all of that is important to them. And the only way you're able to do this is if you have researched the organization, you understand what they're looking for, you understand their ethos, you understand their values, and that is how you then able to pull in, why is everything I've told you about myself important for you? And where does it fit into the organization, right? So for example, if you're someone that's going into an organization that is in a highly competitive industry and space, right? And so they're definitely looking for the top caliber people, the top quality individuals that are really achieving in all of the different facets that they are interested in and that they are working in, then if you are articulating to me how competitive you are, how you strive for achievement, how you strive to be the best in what you do, marry that to them and say, this is why I think this is so important, because I know that in an organization such as XYZ, you guys thrive on, being competitive. You're in a competitive industry, you're in a competitive landscape, and you are looking for people that are naturally competitive, people that are going to want to bring their A game, because eventually it elevates the organization and positions them as the best in the industry, right? Do you see how you then marry what you know about the organization with what you are saying you're bringing to the organization? In all of this, I have not once compared myself to any other candidate, because I don't know, once again, what they are bringing to the table. But I've said to them, this is what I bring. This is what I've worked on. This is my resume as a person, from a characteristic perspective, from a skill perspective. This is why it's important to you, because I know that you're the kind of organization that looks at this or that values this. So you need to be able to then string it back in as to why it benefits the organization as well. And then finally, you need to be able to also articulate why you're a culture fit to the organization. Every single organization has a particular culture, right, which is born from their values, which is born from how they expect employees to act, to carry themselves. So it's how they do what they do. That is what the culture of the organization is. Now, this is something for you to have already read up ahead of time. If you know people that work in the organization, make sure you've given them a call to understand what their lived experience is of that particular organization. Find something in there that resonates with you, right? Whatever it is, a particular value that maybe resonates with you. Be able to then speak to what skill set you have or what it is that you bring or that you value that really resonates with the culture of the organization. Because ultimately, as a recruiter, we are looking to see, are you someone that's going to be a culture fit in the organization? Are you going to fit the particular organization that you are entering into or that you're interviewing into. So somewhere within that, make sure that you are stringing in what value you bring and why that resonates with the organization, because you know that that's a value that they have and that's part of the culture of the organization. And lastly, guys, why does that make you unique, right? A lot of us really seem to think that, our own journey and how it's come about is the same as others, but it actually isn't, right? Because we all have very different personalities, very different skill sets that we bring, very different experiences, even from a university perspective, from a family setup perspective. Why does that make you unique, right? Why does that make you the right candidate for the role? You need to be able to, at the end of it, really string together why you think all of that makes you a unique candidate for this particular role. Because at the end of the day, as recruiters, we're looking for people that are going to come and bring their authentic self to the role, but people that we know already align to the organization, what we live and breathe for, and what our culture actually is. So make sure, guys, that you've given it a lot of thought in terms of what distinguishes you and what makes you unique for this particular role. And make sure that everything that you mention is aligned to the organization, is aligned to the job that you're applying for. And make sure that they know that you've thought through that holistically. And then that's how you're able to present yourself as the most unique person in answering the question, why should we hire you?